Sasa tufanye ni kama pass mark.
Okay.
Ukifikisha pass mark hiyo utapatiwa kitu fulani.
Oh.
Sasa zilikuwa ni za kupeleka kwa pass mark.
Okay.
Ndio ukifika monetization.
Oh, no worries. Guys, I'm here with Gintu.
Yeah.
And right now we are going to visit his fish ponds. Gintu will be explaining to us everything you need to know about fishing and also having a fish pond, and also a lot of things concerning fish rearing. And here you can clearly see the maize plantation. The vegetation looks green. It has been raining heavy, that's why you see the leaves are not
not yet dried, eh?
Yeah, not yet dried and also kind of toned. Yeah. And here we have a beautiful Nyabohanse river, which I will be doing a 30 minutes or more than 30 minutes video of the river sound. I will not be explaining. It will just be, you guys will just be listening to the sound of the river. Gintu, introduce yourself.
Yeah guys, how are you? It's _Gintu here. Most of the people have ever viewed me in terms of maybe fish farming. You have ever seen me in Marwa's channels. Many people shout out here. So guys, we are here at it's _Gintu's fish farming project ongoing at this place here. So as you can see, I have 3 fish ponds here. This is just the big one here, and I have the next one at the upper section there, and another one at the far end. So guys, you can see they're just 3 in number, and they're just 30 feet by 15 feet length and width. They can now accommodate up to 2,000 to 2,200 fingerlings per each pond, guys. So I can just turn to my brother, so as he can just say 2-3 things about anything you want maybe to ask.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have talked about the ponds are feet, how many by what?
30 feet by 15 feet.
30 feet by 15 feet.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can start with that, the last one.
Yeah.
As we will end with this, the biggest one.
Of course, yes.
Yeah. So for how long have you been doing this?
This practice is just for 5 years now. So I started with 1 fish pond here, which is just this one, which is the largest one.
The biggest one?
Then it's now got such amount of money, and I now dug this one out. Then this was the 3rd one out. This one behind us, it's the 3rd one.
This one is the 3rd one?
Yeah.
Now, this one looks new, or it seems like it has just been dug recently, or...
It was just renovated.
Oh, renovated.
The only thing here is just renovation, because we deal with the renovations. Whenever we harvest, you renovate. So, but it was somehow small, reaching at this guava tree here.
Oh,
so
here?
I had to extend it to enlarge it to the upper section, so as I can now accommodate a lot of water, huge, awesome amount of water. So as you know, here we deal with the amount of water, the volume of water. So the thing here is that the larger volume of water and space, the more you stock more fish.
More fish.
Yeah.
How many fish do you have in this pond?
Not yet stocked.
There is no...
It has just 2 days and it's just full of water.
Right.
It was just renovated 2 days ago.
Okay.
And it's just full of water now. The only thing now is just to raise these channels, which we call the pathways. But in this fish farming, we call it the dikes.
No, now this is the pathways.
These are pathways.
But now you call it the dikes.
The dikes.
Okay.
But you can now see what is somehow full. So it's just going to trespass and overflow over this dike here, because it's somehow short. So at the far end, it should be now bulked with some soil, so as now water cannot get out easily.
Oh, there's a pipe over there.
There's just an outlet pipe, so if it reaches at that section, it will now go out of the pond.
Okay.
Now this is just an overflow or the outlet.
Is there like a minimum amount this pond should contain?
Where now this pipe reaches.
Oh.
So if it reaches from this section here, this is where now that's the minimum. So that's why I've just told you I want to restrain this pathway or at the dike, so as it will now be large enough, because when they were just digging it out, I told them it should be expanded, so they expanded it downwards and upwards.
Okay.
So that's why you see this dike here is somehow shallow. So I am just going to renovate it and seal all the seepages that might be just occurring at this fish pond here, so as I can now fertilize it. That's why if you go to the other 2 ponds here, now they are under fertilization process.
Okay, and this water, this water is coming just from the ground,
Just from the
natural.
ground. Yeah, natural.
How many days did it take?
days
2
only.
days
Yeah.
to fill.
2 days.
Wonderful, natural water coming, and also there's an exit.
Yeah. So it's just natural.
Yeah.
It's just a rainy season. It's going to. It's just coming with a high force.
Okay.
Because this area it was like a swampy area, guys. So it should have a lot of huge, awesome amount of water. So coming from down. So this is just 2 days and it's just full of water.
Yeah, I can see this side also the water is just coming from the ground.
Yeah.
Now I have a question.
Yeah.
We have a stream here passing. When it rains heavy, I've seen a video whereby you find these river gates flooded. Does the water reaches to this other side?
It doesn't reach here. It crosses to the other section of the other part.
Oh, the other part, okay.
Yeah, where you can now see the tobacco plantation is. So water flooded at the tobacco plantation, and that's why you can now see it did not do well. But in terms of how, you know, this water channel here, which is just this river, you know, whenever it's just in a straight panel, whenever there is somehow meandering, that's where now it overflows to. Because it comes and hits the meandering zone, then it bursts upwards or any other side that it might now know it's just a weak point.
Okay.
So it needs a weak point. So at the start there, I have some trees and I have some plantation that prevent the erosion. And even if water might just come to this section, it's upper than the other section. So the other side somehow lower than this side.
Yeah.
So that's why it goes to the other part and it's not coming at this side here.
All right.
The only thing we are just fearing is just the erosion, soil erosion that it causes here. So because when it floods here, we have some soil collapsing here. So if the soil collapses, it might collapse with my ponds here. So it's just God to just risk our properties, guys.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe we should have more trees planted along this.
Yeah, I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Most of the things I want to do that. I have tree plantation here, so I have to choose the trees that are so fast in terms of growth and they have strong fibers and tap roots, so as they can now withstand that place and control the erosion.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe we can visit the next pond and see what's happening there. Guys, make sure you check out. It's underscore Gintu. Yeah. He will later show us the
pond here, green in color.
Yeah, I've noticed. I wanted to ask you, why is this
the
water?
last one?
Yeah, let's talk about this one, then we'll finish with the biggest one. This is like your firstborn.
Of course, yes.
Then this one is the secondborn.
Somehow greenish in color, pale green.
Yeah, yeah.
But this one, people might ask why is water somehow dirty.
Yeah.
But it was just constructed 2 days ago.
2 days
so
ago.
It's just going to filter itself. So it's just going to be clear. The same as this one. You can now see onto my channel when I started the renovation of these ponds, the water was so somehow pollutive in terms of their color. It was somehow not fantastic. So, but the way time goes, it filters itself, and the dust. That's just the dust. And, the mud, so it's just going to settle at the base. So it's the same as this one. It was in such a way. So by now it's clear water, but somehow pale green because I've just started fertilization process. The fertilization process is whereby when we now accumulate, leave water to accumulate at this fish pond here, we now start fertilization via the use of the chime. Do you know chime?
I don't know. Tell me.
Do you know those stuffs down there? Have you ever seen them?
This one like samadhi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The cow dung, like.
The cow dung.
But have you ever gone to a place by the name of the slaughterhouse?
Yeah, I've been to the slaughterhouse.
Have you ever seen these kind of things?
This is what they remove from the intestines. It's like cow dung, but now from the cow stomach.
It's just digested further.
Yeah, before it. Yeah, nice.
So
I get.
So I do use these stuffs here. So they have 5 positive impacts where we use this chime or a cow dung. We can just use the chime or the cow dung. But the chime here has 5 positive impacts. But the cow dung has only 4 positive impacts. So the point number 1 about using these stuffs here, you know, they're just nutritious in terms of the growth of the crops. They have nutrients relevant for the crop growing.
Crop or fish?
crop first.
Yeah, because I know it's like fertilizer.
It's like a fertilizer.
Yeah.
The organic manure.
Yeah, organic manure.
So they have nutrients relevant for the growth of plants. So whenever we throw it here, it's just going to turn water into green, or releasing that nutrients relevant for the growth of crops. So that's why they just come onto the water contact and fertilize the growth of the algae onto the ponds.
Okay.
Have you ever seen a pond with algae? Do you know algae?
Yeah, algae, I know algae.
The green and flowering plants?
Yeah, exactly.
And so it triggers the nutrients relevant for them to grow healthy onto the water surface. So they are just fertilizers.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
The main reason I've come across I've come across many ponds, and I always see the water tends to be green, like these two ponds right
same.
here.
Yeah,
so does it mean that in every pond,
you know, we can just use the manure, the organic manure, the dry one, but the dry one has a specific color, which is red in color. Now it brings that impact after it now settled to the ground, it releases water and brings out that nutrients relevant for the growth of the algae, and now the color now of the pond will be red.
Okay.
But if you use these wet ones, before they're just now digested into a decomposed pit, they're now going to release that green color. So if they release that green color here, it's now the green turbidity we are talking about onto the pond. So that's why now we can now go to this pond here.
And I have a question about this. You have called them chime, right?
Yeah.
Now my question is, how many times do you have to apply this chime from the cow's intestine into the ponds?
Okay, I'm coming to that point.
All right.
It's now relevant for the explanation of this pond.
Of this
here.
one. Oh, nice.
So whenever you see the pond is somehow green, you can now see at the far end we have some reddish colors, some greenish colors. So it looks like a nature. So those colors, I've just told you, we have the organic manure and we have this chime here, which are now wet. So this pond here, whenever it was dry, you know, we released some fish from here, we harvested. When we harvest, we release water out, we drain water out from this pond totally. So when we are just finishing harvesting, so as it can now dry up, and then water accumulates in, you seal all the seepages and the barrows, so as water can accumulate. So whenever water accumulates now, you know, it was dry. So the manure I'm talking about, these ones, are going to the ground and settle there and rot. So whenever you drain water out, they are going to dry. If they dry now, they become the manure.
What about the fish? If you're going to remove this water to drain all of this water, only when it's harvesting? And the harvesting comes after how long?
It's just 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I'll come to that point.
All right.
Whereby now you can now see the reddish color you are talking about.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to explain that reddish color. I've told you it's from the organic manure, the dry one. That's just somehow soil-like, so as it can now neutralize the plant with an immediate effect. But these ones here stay for like 1 to 2 months, so as they can now bring that nutrients relevant for the growth of the algae. But when it's now dry after harvesting, you dry it before you do the renovation, then you leave water to accumulate. So whenever it was now dry, water, when it starts to accumulate, now that organic manure that was now dry, the cracked ones, are now getting that red color. But the green color, it's the fertilization from this one that I have just done some 2 days ago. So the point was to take that you just fertilize the pond to have that nutrient relevant for the growth of the algae, because the algae is consumed by the fish entire cycle system of their life and that pond. The second point about the use of these chimes here, if you use them, they're just going to turn water into green. Have you seen the water is now green?
Yeah, I can
so you cannot see anything. So it creates that barrier between the predator birds and the fish. So they cannot be viewed direct at the water surface. So it brings that security pattern there. So the third point about that, you know, whenever we use any cow dung or the chime, the scent one, that scent that they produce, they don't go hand in hand with the serpents. Do you know serpents?
Serpents?
Snakes.
Serpents. Oh, snakes. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, snakes don't like the smell of cow dung.
They cannot go hand in hand.
Oh.
So you can never, if whenever you go around this fish farming here, you can never get any snake around here because I do use these stuffs. This one is not from maybe people are talking about the theory. This is now the practical.
The practical.
At the field.
Yeah.
You can never get them here because I've never struck here by a snake.
A snake. Yeah.
And the fourth point about the use of these stuffs here, whenever you have your nursery beds, any crop plantation around here, you can just use a machine to pump water to as an irrigation to that shamba because it's now green in color. That green content is the nutrients relevant for the growth of algae. So if algae can have that nutrients, so it's the same as the other crops.
The other crops.
So you can use this water as an irrigation.
So like for example, like this farm, the maize plantation, the moment you, instead of applying fertilizer, you just
use this water.
Use this water.
Yeah,
oh,
you'll have that naturality, natural vitamins here. So the fifth point is whenever we have these fish ponds here, we sometimes allow grass to come inside the pond by extending themselves towards the fish pond.
The fish pond.
So as when we stock here, some fish are going to eat some grass when they're somehow big to brood style. So they're going to eat the grass. They can eat sukuma wiki. They can eat potato beans. If they can just eat those things, now the animal grazed the grass. Now they chewed and grinded and it was now swallowed to the stomach. Before it could just be digested, now it was now slaughtered, that cow. So that's why we go for that chime. So as now that grass is chewed and it's now soft. So whenever you throw it here, it's going to be the food.
The food, oh
yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, but the cow dung, it dilutes or water, it doesn't have that character of food because it had now digested and it's now complete. Yeah, and you talked about how long do I take in terms of a fertilization of the pond.
Yeah.
It's like a three days a week or 3 days after 2 weeks. So it will now depend on your algae inside your pond. If you know the algae is there, you can now see this color here. I just have to fertilize it like 4 times only, then I leave it. So as those vitamins are going to facilitate the growth of that algae. So it will come out in a huge manner. So whenever it's just coming in a huge manner, it will have that medium. You should fertilize in a neutral manner, in a medium way. Because the low fertilization will bring a low nutritive value for the growth of the algae. So the algae will not have that strong upcomings or a strong what is it called? Strong coming out as a
like
large.
They will sprout out in larger
so the spring will be low. So whenever the spring is low, you will have a low yield after the time. But if you have a medium one, whereby we have something by the name the sec disc or an arm, you can just use your arm. Whenever you dip your arm onto the water surface inside, if you can see your fingers, the fingers at the downer part, there's no fertilization there because that's what is now clear. If you can now see it in a transparent way or translucent way, now the algae concentration is good. But if you cannot see your arm totally, that's now high. Because the problem with the high fertilization here, it will now have that accumulation of the algae spreading so fast and covering the whole pond and coming up. So whenever it comes up, now the competition in terms of oxygen at night.
Oxygen at night,
the consideration, you know that in biology.
Plants take oxygen during the night. And
Season,
then during the day they take, is it carbohydrate?
Carbon oxide.
Carbon oxide,
carbon dioxide. So whenever they do that one, so whenever you have a high fertilization, now it brings that problem in terms of inhaling and exhaling over the gases here. So it will now bring a competition of gases. So it will bring maybe suffocation of some fish. So you just fertilize it's just called the observation. You have to observe whatever you're just doing. If you observe what we are just doing here, you are going to give the correct fertilization to the pond. So that's why we have the sec disc or use of an arm. So it doesn't have how much times maybe you are going to fertilize it. You can fertilize it once and it have that green content ones. But you can like this one is just a starting now. It will take a process so as it can now get to green water. So it will now be fertilized now and again, now and again, now and again. Yeah, but in terms of fish farming here, I do take some 6 months only because I use the intensive way of feeding, because just the use of concentrate feeds.
What do you mean by using the intensive care or
intensive feeding is the feeding that is just the use of the concentrate feeds only. These are feeds from purchase. You buy them from the manufacturer, the processing. So you have to purchase them. These are just the feeds that have been passed through some rationing, sampling, everything. We have two types of feeds here. We have maybe the manual feeds, and we have the local feeds, by the way, and the concentrate feeds. The concentrate feeds are just bought, but these manual feeds, that you have use of the local materials around you. So like the maize husks, we have the millet chaff, we have those kind of. So you throw them here. But you know, if you depend, we have those kind of feeding. I'm just using the intensive feeding. So the use of the concentrate, because I depend the market demand. I have my market demand, and I have a period of time when I have to supply. So I have to be so fast so as I can now reach that market demand. So if you can now use the concentrate ones, they have a high capability of boosting your fish to grow so fast. You know, and they have that ratio of those diets ingredients combined together, so they can now give the brand of these diets alongside the fish. But when you use the manual or the local feeds here, they have an advantage. They are cheap, one. Number two, they are readily available. But they have a negative one, but very sensitive, and it might cost so many things. So whenever you use the local feeds like the maize husk chaffs here, so whenever you throw here some maize chaffs here,
so you have
some are going to float, some are going to sink. You know? Yeah, true. So the fish I'm just rearing here are top feeders, the tilapia fish. They only feed on whatever is just floating on water. But whatever is just sinking can never be consumed. So whenever we say that way, it means that whenever we use the local feeds here, they're going, some will float, some will sink. Whenever they sink, the more you throw the feeds here, the more, like 3 months. Now it will have to have been scattered alongside the ground over this fish pond down the ground. So they're just going to rot there, you know, it should rot. Whenever they rot, they bring out toxic substances by the name hydrogen sulfide onto this fish pond here. So whenever it has that hydrogen sulfide, it's just toxic substance that it's going to alter the normal functioning of the fish. They might die, some suffocate. So it has now brought what we call a loss onto your business. So that's why we use the concentrate ones, because they are gauged in ratio, so as they can now float, because they have been through the processes and through all the requirements needed for the farming of fish.
I have a question. You have talked about the use of the maize, those are residues, chaffs. Then some settles at the ground level, bottom. Then when they rot, they remove the toxic substance. Now, let's say, for example, for someone who normally use the maize chaffs, and how can he or she control the toxicity? How can he or she control?
It's just the only thing is just one. We have two brands of fish. You can just rear here. We have no, there's variety, but the major one that can be reared is the catfish and the tilapia fish. When you use the catfish here, they can now control that problem of local use of the materials. The local materials, because they are bottom feeders.
So they are bottom. Oh, catfish are bottom feeders.
Yeah, the tilapia are top feeders. So whenever you use those two breeds here, they can now control that. That's the only point.
Oh, so it means you need to have quite a number of catfish inside catfish.
But in terms of stocking now, it becomes a challenge to most of the people. You stock first fish, the tilapia fish, for like 3 months. Then after 3 months, now you stock the fingerlings of the catfish.
Oh, the fingerlings of the oh, nice.
So as the catfish has a high growth rate than the tilapia fish. Whenever you stock them together, the catfish are going to be so big after that 3 months, and they start eating that fish. So you have to be so keen there. So when you are just stocking the tilapia fish, they should be in front for 3 months. Then you stock the catfish back after 3 months. So as now they are just going to grow up. So whenever those feeds you threw here now are rotting, they just consume them.
Okay.
You know,
they're
now consuming them because they're bottom feeders.
I've seen a process whereby, like for example, in my village, you know, when there's a big river passing by, then we have a bamboo somewhere along the river. Then it happens to when the water normally, when the river gets flooded, you will find the water moving inside the bamboos. Then it remains stuck there. Now we have been fishing a catfish in a very traditional way, whereby we enter inside the bamboos. Then what we do, we start running in that particular water, jumping to make it dirty. The moment you make it so dirty, you see the catfish now bringing their heads at the corner.
That's there now. But we have two types of those catfishes.
Okay.
That brand of catfish, it's just the mudfish.
The mudfish. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we have the catfish and the mudfish.
And the mudfish.
Most of the mudfishes, they're just the wild ones that are found at the river. But, the catfish are just reared. These are now pale green in color, but the mudfish are blackish.
Black. Oh, I get it. I get it.
Those ones, the black one don't have a high growth rate, and they have a small body size. But the catfish have a very big body size, and the catfish. Okay. Yeah, and they can now eat, even they can swallow a fish. Yeah, alive.
Wow.
It swallows a fish, and even they can swallow snakes. So whenever you have catfish here, they
do eat snakes.
Yeah. They can chase a snake from here. It cannot survive here.
So catfish and snakes, they don't get along.
Yeah, they don't run.
Wow, wonderful,
so
wonderful.
You use maybe if you are, most of the people think that maybe you have a problem with snakes. Maybe like I am just talking about Ayamaro. I had to stock there some catfish. So as whenever because it should not be fertilized, so as people can view, we should have a catfish there, so as it can now control the breeding. And it can control any kind of frogs and snakes around there. So the work of the catfish. So it can control the breeding, can control the predators like snakes and some frogs at that pond. Yeah, and now it controls it. The most thing is controlling the snakes, because it's not fertilized as the way we fertilize them. So as it can now bring that sense. So as it can now not survive in this water. Yeah.
I have a question. You talked about predators. We normally have these birds which normally...
We have the kingfisher, we have the herons, we have the marabou storks, mostly.
Yeah. Now, apart from birds, but because you have said the reason why now it's pale green or it's green like this, they do come.
But the only alternative, you can now seal it fully is by the use of the predator nets. That the nets that you can now put alongside this fish pond here, it covers.
It lies all over the pond. I get it.
It covers the pond.
In
the upper section. So as that they cannot chip in to take some fish. But most of the people who can do that is who doesn't fertilize, like I am Marwa, or people who have an open field and don't have fertilizing the pond.
And apart from the birds, what about human beings? People like someone
we
just come sit here. Predators of people.
They are there because you know it's just a monopoly thing here. I am the only fish farmer who is just around this village. So other people are just having these are just some 4 to 5 kilometers away from me. So this is just a unique project around here. So people have to, maybe some people, when I started, I left some people so that they can now come and see how the fish farming is ongoing. But I came to realize that they are just the thieves. I was just welcoming the thieves to see how the project is just ongoing. So they never knew that the fish can be reared. They knew that fish can just be found at the lakes, maybe big dams only. But these smaller fish ponds, they cannot have such kind of fish reared here. So it was just wondering, they were just wondering about how can a fish just stay in some such a small thing. They were not even knowledgeable that we can just have a fish farming at this area. So, and they, you know, just starting, and I was somehow not married, and I was just somehow a teenager, still a teenager.
But you started this big project.
Big project here, and I have 3 big ponds here. You know, they're just they are bigger than the constructed ones mostly. Yeah. Most of the people who construct, they construct small.
Yeah, this one is very big. Again, also this one is big.
Yeah, even
this other one again is massive. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so big. So they're costly in terms of construction. By the way. Okay. It's like 100K.
100K to construct one or all these 3.
One is just somehow, this one I constructed it via the government. I registered myself with the government of Kenya. Okay. It brought these good surprises to us. We are the fish farmers. So they constructed this. But this one here, it was just 45,000. 45. This one here was 38,000.
So that one including of putting the fish and
construction only.
Just
digging it out.
Oh.
To have a fish pond.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just costly. So even stocking, now if you have the fish ponds, now stocking is easy because one fingerling, say it goes to up to 10 shillings. Okay. Yeah, so stocking is easy than construction of the pond. Okay. And you should have a land that has water like this one here. You can see I don't have any inlet here.
Yeah,
I don't have any inlet.
And that's I wanted to ask you. Yeah. I don't see any inlet. There's water. This is a swampy area.
I have an outlet there.
At the corner.
I have an outlet at that far end, and I have an outlet there.
An outlet there.
The only places, this one here relies on its own water from downwards.
From down. And I can see even water here coming
from this
from the ground, here. Just
you
heading into.
This water is coming from the upper section. That's why it has
that other side.
It has collapsed.
Yeah, I can see there's
because there's a lot of water there coming in, so it collapsed in. So that's why I used that kind of gabions and some logs there, so as they can now restrain that area. Okay. The same as this one. You see, it's now
I can see also this side has collapsed.
Yeah, it's just 2 days. So I have water at the upper sections here. You can now see. Yeah. But this one here, it's just from downwards.
Downwards.
Yeah, downwards. Okay. It's just popping like oozing from the
ground.
surface.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm seeing fish coming up, going down.
No, I don't have fish here. It's just fertilization process.
There's no fish here?
Those are just frogs.
Oh, there are frogs.
But I have to do something correspondent with them because I'm just going to stock here some catfish.
So wait,
once a while.
You already have removed fish inside this pond.
There's no fish here.
There's no fish here.
It has been renovated 1 month ago.
1 month ago.
You can see that area. It's not yet grass covered. So it's just 1 month ago. So it's under fertilization process. Okay. The same thing I've just telling you about this one here. It's now going to be fertilized. So this one and this one here are under fertilization process. Okay. So if they undergo the fertilization process, it takes like 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
2 weeks or?
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks.
So right now there's no fish in any.
There's no fish here.
You have fished everything.
I'm just going to stock here on 12th December.
12th December.
I'm going to
stock. Because I saw you. There's a video of you. I saw you were with some guys fishing for fishing the fish.
That period of time. Yeah. This one was the last one that I reallocated the fish to a Maro site and Joffa Hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they had that order, so as I can now supply them the live fish.
So right now, once the water has been fertilization has finished, that is after 2 weeks. Yeah. Now you have to again to bring new fish and
new brand now. Because I rely on monosex only, the male fish only.
Why?
Fish. Because you know we have some things that bring us to that monosex of male, because they have a high growth rate. You know, sometimes when a female gets to 3 months, now it starts the reproduction system. You know, those are tilapia fish are mouth breathers. They bring the eggs via the mouth. When they throw them onto the surface where they want to be fertilized, once they are just fertilized by the male, ejaculated, they now incubate them onto the mouth. So whenever they incubate them onto the mouth, they have that temperature. They don't eat. They just stay that way until they hatch.
For how long?
it's like 1 to 1.5 a week.
So
In that period of when they're now incubating, so they're just under hatching time, they don't eat. So the male bypass them.
Okay.
So because the male eat, you supply here some feed, because those ones are under a reproduction system, and maybe what we call the hatching time, so they don't eat. So this male bypass them, because the female ones goes for reproduction after every like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks they hatch, 3 weeks, so it becomes a rampant thing. So that's why male bypass them. So that's why we need only male. But there is always you cannot be given 100%.
100%.
So you are just given with a ratio of 3 to 1 or 5 to 2, depending with the company selling for you those fingerlings.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. That's an amazing information we are getting from its_Gene2. Yeah, and here we have 3 ponds here, very massive by the way. If you are here, you will get a clear visual of the fish ponds. They are very big. Currently there's no any fish inside because of the fertilization is taking place. This other one is still being prepared. You can see the water is way different compared to this one, but after some time the water will be clean. Then again, also this one you will do fertilization.
We will do fertilization after just a week.
After a week.
Now water will be clear.
Now another question.
Yeah.
How big are these fish? Like let's say when they have matured. You said after 6 months.
6 months.
6 months.
They're just 300 to 400 grams.
300 to 400 grams.
Yeah. Or some you can just get them at 500 grams.
Are they like the same tilapias we see? I know. Like those are being taken from Lake Victoria. I know some of them are very huge. Like even you find a tilapia big as my size.
There is a history of a tilapia fish. Tilapia fish can stay up to 10 years. And it can reach 5 kgs of weight after that 10 years.
Yes.
But here, we are just trying to compete with the market.
Okay.
If you have a market that needs a big fish, but it's rare.
It's rare.
You cannot get. So even competition and these fish ponds here are there. We have people who need small fish of around below 300 grams. We have people who need above 300 grams. We have people who need above 500 grams. So it will now depend with which kind of company have you just registered with, so as you can supply them the stock or the fish for just consumption. So it will now depend with your company. Okay. So maybe your market demand, you are just selling for the locals or the local market. They need small fish. They cannot consume the big fish because of the economy. Some people talk about the standard of living. But a company that have an order, like the hotel supply, we have most of them are just the hotel supplies. So if you can just get a 5-star supply of the fish, they need a very big fish. So if you're just preparing for them those kind of fish, they should have a range of 1 year.
1 year
of now rearing.
Oh, so the size,
the more the months they cover.
Oh, okay, I get it.
The smaller the size, the lesser the months.
Oh, I get it.
And the more you throw here some feed, if you're just using the concentrate feeds, most of the people can just talk about, oh, yeah, I'm just going a loss, maybe. The more you purchase the feeds, you have purchased them with your money, you know, the concentrate ones. Whenever you throw those feeds here, it's the same money you are just throwing here. So the more they're just going to consume the food, the more it will bring that positive impact in front.
Okay.
After the harvest.
After the harvest.
So the more you throw here, your feeds, it's like throwing money. Yeah, because those feeds are now money. Because they are now going to trigger them grow and bring that money at the far end. So the more you throw feeds, the more you throw money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another question: do fish get sick, or is there any kind of vaccination or any kind of medicine you have to give them, or they don't have anything like being sick apart from being being traumatized, or
that's even sick.
By day it's
sick.
Yeah.
And traumatization, have stress. You know, whenever we transport them from the hatcheries, they are now fingerlings.
Okay.
You know, they have stages. We have an egg hatched to a fry. A fry takes 30 days to be a fingerling. A fingerling takes 2 weeks to 3 weeks. It now goes to a post fingerling. From there, it now become a big fish. So we just purchase the fingerlings, the second stage. When we bring them here, you know, that transportation bumps, maybe some, they have some stress.
Okay.
That's why when you just stock them here or install them here,
immediately after transportation,
you don't pour them into the water. You just unseal the plastic bag you are given. They're just packaged in bags with the oxygen.
Yeah,
and
I've
water.
seen that plastic bag.
So whenever you install them here, you enter inside the pond, then unseal those corks or any bladder,
depending on what they have tied with.
Untie. Then inlies that plastic bag onto the water, so as the pond water can go in, so as now they can come out.
They can come out.
Yeah. So that's the only protocol. But when you pour it, you might find some died because you are now introducing another climate to them. Direct. So you just inlies that plastic bag onto the water, let the pond water go inside. It now get exchanged with the water that was just in. Then they move out.
Oh, okay.
So whenever you you pour them once, you are just going to bring some harm. That's where now they bring a challenge, and that's how you can now cope up with that stress. And you don't give them feeds or any kind of food in 2 days' time, because they are now going to eat the algae while they're just going to get that
to adapt
with the environment. Okay. So as that stress now can go out. Traumatization the same. Yeah. So we have a different type of sickness, but you can now come and find that the fish are now going to crowd where the entrance of water is, at the upper section where water is now coming in.
Oh, you find like
or you have an inlet. You can now find that the fish are now crowding to the inlet part. Know that at that time now they have a suffocation onto that pond. Maybe it's the oxygen concentration, or the toxic substances have now formed up, like the hydrogen sulfide. Okay. So the only thing is just observation.
Observation.
Observation is the key value.
So when that happens, you need to drain the water.
You drain water out. You let the other fresh water in, so as you can now continue. Whenever you see it's just hard, maybe water.
Sorry guys, our camera went off because of overheating, but the good thing, I have a spare battery, so you just have to remove and put the next. You see, this thing has given me challenges a lot. Initially I was having one battery, and you will find yourself you are recording. Before you finish recording, it's off. Then again, it takes time to charge. Maybe you will charge up to like 5%, 10%, but again, maybe that time there was a specific content you wanted to capture. But
it's a head trick sometimes.
But anyway, we are still here at the its_Gintu fish ponds, and Gintu was explaining me about just to give us info about fish farming, fish rearing, and any other information that is relevant to you guys outside there.
Guys, I was just talking about if you can now get the fish, they are now crowded at one place. Maybe you can use the salt, the common salt.
Salt, the one we use for
during
food.
the cooking.
Okay.
Yeah, the common salt, the table salt. We talk about
table salt.
So you can just take it with some, you measure now the size of the pond, the quantity of water, the volume. Then now you just take some kgs of salt, dilute them in water, and sprinkle all over the pond. So it's just going to neutralize the water and lower maybe the acidity of the water, because the salt is a 7. It's just an alkalinity, or
alkaline 7.
It's just number 7.
It's number 7, alkaline.
Table salt is a stable one, so it's number 7. So whenever you use the now the salt here, it will now lower the acidity or lower the pH of this water. So maybe the pH is not good in terms of the fish rearing. Now you can now boost it whenever you have the silt onto the water. So whenever you have silt here, it will now bring suffocation to fish. So you can just know have you now it will now depend because you are now the manager here. Which kind of food were you using? If it's just the concentrate ones, you know that these stuffs are just suffocating from maybe these water is somehow silt, or whenever you can now shower with this water onto your body, it's now going to have that another, like the way you can just go to the clay bath.
The clay bath.
Do you see that color people come out with that
yeah,
color?
it's like your skin is more drier, ashy.
Very dry.
Very
you can now pick this water, just shower it with at your hands. Now you will now know that maybe this water is silt or it's just acidic. Okay. If it has that ile kuwasha,
like itching,
yeah, you can now know it's just the acidic water. If you can now see that your hands are becoming dry, like you are just applying the ash onto your hands, no, that's just alkalinity. So whenever you observe that one, now you can now use the salt as a common base. Yes.
Technique, we are learning new things here. Okay. I have a question. If we have fish here, how many times do you have to feed them in a day or in a week?
A day. Now depending with the stocking you have just stocked. If this pond is meant for 2,000 fish.
This one?
Yeah. If you decide now to stock here 3,000, what do you want? Maybe you can just answer that one. If this fish pond is made or it's just constructed and measured that it can now hold only 2,000. So you decide to use 3,000.
To put 3,000 fish.
3,000 fish. What can you do about that?
You have to increase the amount of feed.
Thank you. That's the only thing. So the more now you have stocked, now it will now depend on the feeding protocols.
Okay.
The more, if you stocked here 2,000 and they're needed here 2,000, you feed them normally.
Okay.
Twice a day. Around 10 a.m. and 4 p.m. the evening session. If you know it was to hold 2,000 and now you stock 3,000, you have to give it like 3 times or 4 times a day. So the only thing is to increase the feeds.
The feeds.
Or how you now throw some feeds here. Okay. The only thing is that one. Just apply more than the way you are just using because you have more stock here. That's the protocol.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. But if now we don't have any inlet and we only have an outlet, then it means that there will be no oxygen, right? For every fish pond, like let's say for example in this in your case is very unique because the water is just coming from the ground, right? But I've seen fish ponds whereby this is a fish pond, then there's an inlet, there's water coming in just like that water channel, that channel comes in, then there's another outlet. Now in a scenario where there's no any inlet, then it means like they will suffocate due to oxygen.
Now it will now depend on your fertilization. Because we have what is coming from down.
Now, in a place where there's no water coming from the ground, for those guys who
are just using the temporary polythene bags.
But yes.
If you are just using the polythene bags, we have inlets. They should have inlets. So that water over the temporary fish ponds, they should have inlet because that water was not there. It was pumped there. So the more you see, they're now suffocating or they're just coming up and down, and they don't have that leisure time. You can now come and see it's just hanging. It's not looking at you and disappearing. You know, there's a problem. Maybe oxygen concentration. And those ponds, they don't fertilize so much because of that. If you fertilize so much now, the oxygen concentration in terms of the growth of algae is now coming up. So that's why I told you we have a low rate of algae, we have a medium rate of algae, and we have a high rate of algae. So the high rate of algae is a high fertilization. A medium is a medium fertilization. So whenever you have a high fertilization and you don't depend on inlets, you'll have a problem. That's why now you should. That's why people talk about having experts into the field. Don't have people who are just theoretically. They can just give you the theory. Have people who have the knowledge and skills in terms of fish farming, and they have done it onto the ground. They have experience in the ground. But don't use people who are just from graduations. Those are they will now mislead your project, because what they know most is about the theory things.
The theory, but
at the field, it's totally different, guys.
Yeah.
Totally different. And let no one just tell you that these things are just hard. Even me, I never went to school, but I have a knowledge because of the observation. The way you keep them here, the more you get the knowledge on how they want and what do they lack, you will get more knowledge. Sometimes you might just fall into the pond, and when you come out, you hear your body needs to be itching. So itching, you just wonder, why is this water itching me? So you can now start rolling. You have to go to maybe Google or ask the experts. They now give you the solution of that. But you have now at the ground. Now you have that idea at the ground that now if you just hear the water is now itching you, you know that's acidic. But if you enter and you find that your body is now becoming so rough, it's like you have just applied some ash into your body. Now it's just alkalinity. That water has high alkalinity. So in that time now, it's to the field. Now you will get more experience at the field. People are just told at the books that maybe acidic will now itch you. But you have never been itched. How will you hear that it's just itching? So you have to experience it here. So those people, and whenever you are just at the field, you should have the gears relevant for the fish growing. It's not this way. This is now a manager. I am now a manager.
Now you have dressed like a manager.
A manager now. But whenever I'm coming for fish farming project, I should have a gumboots, an overall, and maybe a cape or a helmet, and that one for constructions. So that's why those are now the protective gears. Sometimes if the pond is somehow deep, you should have those floaters and life jackets. Whenever you know the pond is somehow deep, so you should have the life jackets. But whenever you know, I know my pond, it reaches here. It's just 1.20 meters.
This one?
Height. It's somehow up to this point, so I cannot drown. So even this one, it's just 1.20. Even that at the far end. Even the other one. They're same height. So you know, whenever you bring somebody else here and he doesn't know about those things, you should have the gears relevant and the emergency gears around. But that's why I want now to improvise new technology onto this project. Maybe I've not talked about that. I want now to create an Airbnbs here. At the far end, I've just purchased that plot there. That plot, I've now purchased it. So I want to create the Airbnbs. I want to create here some gazebos. I want to create here some bonfire and a fishing zone, whereby now I'll use that far end fish pond for fishing. During that time, now I construct at the upper side there. I'll construct some fishing zone where people can now come and sit or stand and relax, and they can now fish using the hooks. They can fish. They can just roast the fish. They roast themselves. They have the bonfire here. They have a gazebo. Wonderful. They have a river down there. So I'm just eyeing. So as now I'm going to fence this land because it's not yet fenced. We have some intruders who can just access the land minus my acknowledgement. So the only thing is just getting that into reality now. So from maybe January, I'll just be applying that knowledge onto the field, whereby now I'll have more people who want maybe a good area, a meditation area, a luxury area, so they can now come relax. Then I'll go ahead and I'll just put some what we call the bridges alongside these fish ponds here. So a person can just stand at the middle chest of the pond, via the bridge. So as they can now experience that. Maybe some people talk about water have some breezes, so you can now feel if we have breezes here or we don't have. So you can now feel that area and the environment, how calm it is. So that's what I'm now going to transform. And these dikes we are just standing here, I'm just going to construct like this fish pond here. I'll construct a wall up to the far end and goes up, because I'll just leave a place where what is just coming in. So that's even this area, I'll just construct a wall here. So as this pathway or the dike here, I'll just use the cabrons. So as other places will have cabrons and grass at the same time.
Okay.
So as we bring that nature now. So as far as people are just going to come at a Marwa site, they now visit at this site even.
This site
so
even.
Because whenever we have loud music there, I'll have cool music here, whereby it's just slow motion, and it now entertains people who are just here at slow motion, and they can do anything they want. And I'll have a dispense bar. If you want maybe a cooler squatches, maybe you need a cool drink,
your glass of whiskey,
have,
beer.
You'll have your own entertainments here. So that's what now I'm going to just do at this field at during June time
that's
next
a
year.
Great idea.
Yeah, during June time, I'll just have applied that one. So guys, if you can now come onto my channel, it's _Gintu. You can know more about the fish farming and the trends that are just coming up. People might ask which kind of the Airbnb you want to construct. They're just A-shaped Airbnbs.
The A-shaped, yeah, they're simple but classic and unique.
Mostly, yesterday I had a girl who was just now I do bring some people so to give them my mind how I just trying to do. They now give me their ideas. So one girl, Kanaku, talked about me using the wooden things, furnitures here. Furnitures. So she told me the wooden furnitures are so excellent in terms of welcoming people, maybe having that tension decor of this area, and even the Airbnb should be of the wooden furniture. So that's what I'm now eyeing forward, so as I can just do. So if you want more contact about the fish farming and have that idea from the construction of the pond, we have engaging in looking at the alkalinity of water, maybe acidic of water, the potential of having how many fish can you just have in terms of feeding protocols, in terms of rearing good quality fish at your farm, or which kind of brand do you need that can fit into your water, or that area that the pH is. You can just go onto this number +2547 00490047. You can just get me there, so as we can now put more thoughts together.
Yeah, guys, what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave his contact the description and also below the video, so that you can check out his channel. You see the amazing work he does here at the fish pond. And also, if you need consultation, if you need to talk to him to inquire about something with fish farming, you call that number that he has left here. I'm also going to put it under the description and also below the video for you guys to reach out to him. Gintu, it has been a great conversation.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about the fish farming, and also I appreciate you for taking your time to bring me to your place and have a conversation about farming, especially fish. And that's one thing also I'm looking forward to do back in my village.
Thank you.
Yeah, because even I remember there's a day I was having a conversation with my dad, and I was inquiring about the fish farming. Yeah, I told him, hey, I want to do to construct a pond over there, and he was trying to advise me, just to tell me, hey, maybe we need to do this and this and this, and that is one thing that I'll definitely consider. Yeah. Thank you, guys. You can listen to the sound of water. By the way, you know what? I want to film just water. You see the way that water is moving there. I want to just come here and film it without even talking. Different spots. In fact, this is now coming to this other part. I've realized that this is another better spot to get my footage.
The more you go downwards, the more you get. The more you go upwards, the more they're
I want to make sure I've captured different angles, just nature, sound of water, sound of birds, no talking, just like that. Because I noticed we have people who normally enjoy this kind of the nature sounds. You see, water flowing and everything. So if you just want to feel relaxed and enjoy the movement, and I'm going to do it in different versions, even put the camera inside the water. Thank you. Yeah, and here we are, village life, walking barefoot. Aya, poina shida ya, asante. Aya. Here there's another waterfall. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I'm going to give you guys plenty of content. Let me head back to the villa. Then later on, I'll be coming to shoot this content. So far it has been an amazing day, and I'm just here walking inside the maize plantation, or is it outside the maize plantation? But this is the maize plantation. You see, we have maize. Let me not touch them. The owner might think I want to steal his or her maize. But anyway, I'm here with good faith, no ill intentions. This is the clay bath. We had some people doing a clay bath here. There's a waterfall, but I'll do the clay bath later, maybe tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure that you do so. Make sure you leave a thumbs up, like the video, and also leave comments. Tell me how you feel about the video. Tell me where do you think I should improve, or what do you want me to do next. I always got your back like you got mine.